Institute of Innovation and Industrial Management is an enabler of cooperations between industry and students. In innovation projects, the students are empowered to collaborate with industry partners, working on real-life challenges. Assisted by the staff of the Institute and backed by a generous budget to spend on their project, students run through all phases of an innovation process. In the new Schumpeter Laboratory for Innovation, lots of ideas are generated and tested by intensive prototyping. Digital production machines are used to come up with a fully functional prototype. After several iterations of the prototype, project results are presented to representatives from industry and university in a unique environment. The new lab offers state-of-the-art multimedia and communication systems. From a short 48 hours makeathon to up to 7 months course of product innovation, you can choose the innovation project that fits best for you. Learn more about innovation, product development, and the maker movement in this extraordinary experience. Hi, my name is Vlad. Participating in an innovation project was one of the most challenging but also rewarding experiences of my lifetime. Get in touch now.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and supporters of our Institute of Innovation and Management, welcome to this year's Innovation Gala. My name is Herstätter. It's a pleasure to speak to you today. Today we will see the results of 6 student teams who worked hard over the last 7 months on their projects, and I'm more than pleased to share this experience today with you. Unfortunately, you can't be here in this room today with us, but I'm sure you will also enjoy this new setting of the live stream. We just saw a video of how innovation projects usually run at our institute and how crowded this place usually is. Students make intensive use of our infrastructure, like the meeting rooms, Schumpeter and Tesla. I want to take a moment to introduce you to the namesakes of our rooms. Joseph Alois Schumpeter roots can be found in the former Austrian-Hungarian monarchy of the early 20th century. Schumpeter was a political economist studying law at the University of Vienna. He got his PhD in 1906. In 1911, he joined the University of Graz as a professor, where he remained until World War I. In 1932, Schumpeter moved to the United States and became a famous professor at Harvard University, where he was known for his heavy teaching load. His sense of politics, economics, and above all, innovation still inspires us today. Schumpeter was one of the most influential economists and popularized the term innovation and creative destruction to make place for innovation. As Albert Einstein was once asked, "How does it feel to be the smartest man alive?" he responded, "I don't know, you will have to ask Nikola Tesla." Born and raised in the Austrian Empire, Tesla studied engineering and physics between 1875 and 1878 at Graz University of Technology. He is the most famous dropout, actually. In 1884, he emigrated to the United States, where he became a US citizen and became one of the most remarkable inventors of all times. Just to mention a few of his inventions: the Tesla coil, radio remote control, or bladeless turbines. Today, electric driving is back again. The name Tesla is back, revolutionizing mobility. You probably already noticed that we also named our lab from which we stream after one of these two individuals. The Schumpeter Laboratory for Innovation provides a platform for the innovation exchange of maker industry and research. It offers access to the most modern infrastructure, digital production machines for prototyping, extensive multimedia and communication systems in order to support the cooperation of involved actors and the resulting product and business model development in the best possible way. COVID-19 made the Schumpeter Laboratory to a pretty empty place, but its leading-edge infrastructure made it possible to rapidly convert our courses to digital teaching and to continue offering our students quality teaching. Our design lab, where we host today, which is a 30 square meter 4K LED video wall and modern video conferencing system, let us feel close even with distance learning. That counts especially for our innovation formats at the Institute, all with different character and lengths, ranging from 48-hour makeathon to a 7-month product innovation course. Actually, last weekend, we conducted a makeathon with 2 companies and 20 students, working all over the weekend with COVID-19 measures, and everybody was happy. But all of them have the goal to reach and teach students about innovation and product development and connect students with the local industry. In Europe, we don't have a lot of soil resources like raw material or oil to make business. But what we do have and need are motivated students who are hungry for innovation. Students can take their first steps towards entrepreneurship without any risk at our institute, at our university. To offer students the best possible training platform, there is a large team of coaches and mentors who support product innovation and assist students throughout workshops and during the project. Speaking of product innovation, this course is the reason why we are here today. In order to develop and design new products, the Institute has introduced this international and interdisciplinary course about 15 years ago. It is a unique course in Austria inspired by the 1-year program in design thinking at the design school, the D School of Stanford University in California. According to the concept of experience-based learning, the course offers students the opportunity to work on real-life tasks directly provided by the industry partners. In addition to the task, the students receive a project budget of around up to 10,000 euros to implement the best of their numerous ideas. Some of these ideas have already led to new products and even patents for our industry partners. In addition to the opportunity to further develop their knowledge and soft skills of the universities, of the students of our university gain practical experience and collect ECTS credits for their studies. Just some numbers that you see what we have done the last 15 years. Around 500 students had the possibility to experience this unique course. Roughly 300 of them are international. 30% of all students in this course are female, by far the highest number among our roughly 550 courses at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and Business Economics. Students participated come from 53 nationalities and from 49 universities from all over the world. So far, 63 projects were conducted for 34 different industry partners from different industries. COVID-19 forced us to focus even more on online than before, which we did already in the past, because internationality means we have to stay in touch online. Yeah, these were some numbers about the program. And now I want to conclude and continue with a special guest. I want to take this opportunity to welcome a special guest to our event. Without him, the Schumpeter Laboratory would not exist, by the way. Please welcome the Rector of Graz University of Technology, Professor Harald Kainz. Harald, due to the COVID situation, we have a very strange setting here. Usually we have 150 guests in this room. Now we are sitting almost alone with our technical team and lots of people listening and watching us. How do you feel about the situation at our university?
Oh, I feel excellent. Thank you, Christian. It's always a great pleasure to be here in the Schumpeter Lab for Innovation with the attached Fab Lab. So I thank you for the invitation to be here today. And I'm also greeting the members of our 6 student teams and all other guests on the video streams. And I hope you can follow this event and you will have a fantastic afternoon here in Graz.
Harald, I know that you focus on innovation at all schools or all 7 faculties. 6-7 years ago, we introduced the Fab Lab at our university, at our institute, and you were a friend of our creative ideas. 3-4 years ago, you approached me about this setting here at the roof of the Frank-Stronach Institute, which you turned into a building. I want to thank you again for that possibility, which you gave us in order to make what we have right now. And I'm glad that you come sometimes with special guests to our institute to host them. You are a very entrepreneurial person, also already before you joined the university as a professor and rector. What are the goals and activities of the entrepreneurial university which you introduced a few years ago?
Oh, that's easy to say. Our intention is to motivate the students and the employees of our university to entrepreneurial thinking, and we want to impassion our students to construct an own company and to start their own business. Very easy.
Well, we definitely want to help you with that and hope to inspire students to start their own company. How do we prepare students to be the innovation drivers for the future from an university perspective?
Yeah, we have a lot of measures for our students. We offer courses of different lectures. We also have a lot of international student teams. More than 300 students of our university each year take part in such a student team, and in mechanical engineering, so racing, robotic, but also in chemistry, architecture, civil engineering. And we are really proud that our student teams are very successful in the international competition, and we are very glad if our teams place before MIT or Stanford or ETH Zurich or whatever. So we are very glad to have some world champions at our university, and I suppose it's a fantastic possibility for our young students and to learn how to make entrepreneurial work. And what also we have the largest incubators in Austria. So on the one hand we have the Science Park, which belongs mainly to our university, but we also host from the European Space Agency the business incubator here too. And together at the moment we have 57 startups at the moment placed on these incubators. So I suppose we do a lot for creating new companies.
That's quite a number. Interaction between research and its application industry, how does it work from your perspective at the university?
I would say it works excellent, and it works better and better. And I suppose the secret of this cooperation with industry is the competence, the innovation, and the motivation of our staff. And I'm really sure that we can convince our industry partner to do more and more with our university. And so our third partner's budget is rising always. And if you look back, within the last 15 years, we doubled our staff. We created nearly 2,000 new scientific jobs at our university, and we think within the next years there will be additional 1,000 too. So I suppose cooperation works excellent, and I suppose also activities like here in the Schumpeter Lab are very relevant to strengthen the cooperation with industry.
Thank you very much, Rector Kainz. We definitely can say not just we are working with students, with industry, also other institutes are working very well with the local industry and international industry, and Thank you, Harald. You are truly an entrepreneurial rector of our university, and I would like to ask you to continue and support us also in the future. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Before we start, with the presentation of our students, I would like to give the stage to one other supporter of our university and of our institute. Our speaker holds a PhD in physics from the Friedrich Alexander University of Erlangen-Nuremberg and has been with Siemens for 25 years. In 2016, he became CTO, and 2018, in addition, COO of the Siemens AG. Since October 2020, Dr. Roland Busch is the CEO of Siemens AG with roughly revenue of 60 billion euro and 300,000 employees. Siemens is a global player in 6 segments. The strongest segments are health, digital industries, and smart infrastructure. All of us know the trains. A factory is right here in Graz for the bogies, producing and developing the bogies. Unfortunately, it was not possible for Dr. Busch to come here in person, although he would have enjoyed it after already seeing last year's presentation of the student teams 2020. Nevertheless, he took some time to send us some words of greeting. Please join me now in listening to Dr. Roland Busch.
Today, innovation is so important because we are living in a time of digitalization, and the pandemic has accelerated the whole thing. So digitalization is changing our markets wherever we go. This is the reason why innovation is more important than ever. Well, what is Siemens doing to stay innovative? So number one, it's input. So we are spending roughly 5 billion euros, which is 8.1% of our revenue. But that's not good enough. We need to have the right people, but we have to be first and foremost customer focused. We have to understand the needs of our customers, or even anticipate what they need in the future, even before they know it. And this combination of staying tuned to our market, invest a lot, have the right people, and of course, empower our people to do innovation. I'm asked very often how important business models are in order to really innovate and to bring a product to the market. And the answer is very important, in particular in times of digitalization, because the combination of technologies, digital technologies, new technologies, not necessarily digital, and business models. This is the explosive mix which really drives a lot of markets and startups. We see that in the startup space in particular, where new companies are coming up, and very often they come with new business models, very often also based on data. Well, the mindset needed to create innovation is, I would say, first and foremost, we need a growth mindset of openness. Openness means to be open also for failures or for areas where you're not the best. This is sometimes a sobering recognition. But it also requires curiosity, lifelong learning, and staying tuned, persistence. So therefore, if you're curious and open-minded and you really accept failures, because if you do something new, it happens again and again that you make failure, accept, learn from them, and then you grow. TU Graz is a very interesting partner for us because it's a very strong university, a very strong history, and a great ecosystem, which is important these days. And the projects I would like to highlight is our lightweight boogie. This is a long-term partnership, and we are really benefiting in our businesses from next generation of lightweight boogies. So what is my advice for students? I would say, number one, stay curious, have a growth mindset, so keep on learning. Lifelong learning is important, and learn from your failures. Don't be disappointed, because if you make failure, you will learn most. Last but not least, I know that you're going to present now your projects. I wish you good luck. I know you put a lot of effort into it, and I'm pretty sure it will be great. Thank you very much.
Is it working right now?
Well, stay curious. Mr. Dr. Roland Busch said stay curious, so I'm curious what we will see the next half an hour or so. So I would like to introduce to you the overall project manager, Patrick Herstätter, and Marion Unegg, and I would like to hand over to you now.
Thank you very much, Professor Ramsauer. What a wonderful introduction and what a wonderful start to this Innovation Gala this year.
And also a warm welcome from our side.
So, hey Marion, are you also as excited as me to hear what we are going to hear throughout the next 30 minutes?
Absolutely. We will hear impressive presentations by our 6 student teams. But Patrick, let's first give our audience a sneak preview about the last 7 months.
Right. So it started last November when the teams met first during a welcome week, and afterwards they learned about the project. So guided by workshops, the teams run through 3 main phases, which is problem understanding, idea generation, and prototyping. So during regular checkpoints, team building events, and mentor days, they had the opportunity to discuss with each other and work out the project. Sounds quite simple, right?
Well, there's more behind that, especially in a year where a pandemic erases our daily habits. The teams had to be more flexible than ever. At the beginning, we were quite sure that we could be back in the Schumpeter Laboratory already at January, but as we all know, this wasn't possible this year. So even more, we are happy to be here today and to share with you the results of our student teams.
Yes, and let's start with the first project. Probably every one of you can relate to that, since every one of you probably shaved yourself once in a while. With their solution, they provide a new and innovative shaving concept and experience with a unique design. Let us now go on a journey that brings shaving to a new level.
Please welcome Paul from the Shave Squad.
Thank you. Hello. Who of you remembers the first time shaving? Well, for me, that is a very pleasurable memory, as I learned it from my father. Back in the day, he looked something like this. Shaving his beard was a daily task, while his chest and body hair grew violently. But well, as Bob Dylan put it, the times, they are a-changing, and so are our preferences regarding body and facial hair grooming. This is a more modern beauty standard. Quickly you can see the difference. The chest is now shaved, and the hairy part is now the beard. Well, these questions erase new tasks, these trends erase new tasks for shaving. Especially, we still want from a shaver that it is able to achieve a close cut that we are used to. But we also wanted to achieve trimming and styling features, cutting a beard to a specific length and shape. And also, we want to do body grooming, since the face is no longer the only place that requires shaving. From a very good product, we now expect all of these features to be combined in one device. But let's have a look at the actual product development. These 2 shavers are 50 years roughly apart. The only real changes are ergonomics, and for the new tasks, adapters have been made. But adapting something, rather than redesigning it, is just not innovative enough. And that's where we come into place. My name is Paul Schwarz. We are the Shave Squad, and I'd like to introduce you to a completely new, redesigned, innovative electric shaver. ladies and gentlemen, let me proudly present to you the switchblade. It features two cutting mechanisms combined in the same place. It is suitable for wet and dry use. Its innovative transmission system powers these two mechanisms in a very economic and good way, and all of this is embedded in a smart and elegant design. The task of long hair, of super close cutting and long hair trimming is locally divided along the blade. This means that there will be no more long hair reaching into the short hair cutter, which results in no more pinching. But also, due to its raindrop-like shape, it is able to cut a thick beard without clogging. So it cuts through a thick beard like a machete. This enhances the flow of shaving, making it possible for you to shape your beard like an artist. The linear setup is more intuitive to handle, as it resembles a vintage razor blade or a fine arts brush that makes for easier shaping of your desired contours. Also, this setup allows it to reach places like your back, neck, and intimate area more easily. But what makes all of this happen? Well, the two cutting mechanisms, being a foil shaver and a symmetric clipper, are available in the same place at the same time. The only thing you need to switch between them is a twist of your wrist. Both of them are propelled with the same innovative transmission system that is similar to the one installed in NASA's Perseverance Mars rover for the soil sample drill. All of this is combined in a beautiful, breathtaking design that resembles a vintage razor blade. The handle is made out of rubber and metal, preventing it from being slippery in the shower while still giving you a cold metal feeling to the touch. This elegance is further underlined by a simple charge indicator that helps you to know exactly when it is time to recharge your device. With this, I'd like to end my presentation, and in the name of my team, I'd like to welcome you all to the future of shaving.
Well, that was an impressive presentation. Thanks once more to the Shave Squad. But now, let's move on to our next team. Our next team faced a challenge in context of the maintenance of welding torches. Currently, this requires a lot of space, and that's exactly where their solution provides a significant advantage.
So welcome Robin and Jasim from Team Thorn.
This is a welding torch. Welding is a multi-billion-dollar industry that is used in shipping, construction, automotive industry, railways, and many other fields. First, let's explain what welding is, since that is what the Fronius company does. Welding is a fabrication process where two or more metals are fused together using high heat or high pressure. The heat comes from the torch hose. Sometimes they break, but luckily we can fix them and give them a new life. Let's explain how that works.
This is the outer hose, and it is filled with many components. Those are wires, cables, and other hoses. We can pull this hose pack apart and analyze the individual components. Then we replace the ones with defects for new ones when needed. But how do we get this new bundle back inside the outer hose? We cannot simply push it back, because they're long and flexible, so they will wrinkle up. So, we first insert a solid metal bar into the outer hose. Then we take the bundle of inner components and connect it to this metal bar. If we now keep the outer hose in place, we can pull everything together and the hose is repaired. Easy, right?
Yes, it looks all easy, but the hoses can range from 3 to 10 meters, and in the 10-meter case, the entire setup takes 20 meters, which is simply too long. And that was our challenge, to find a way to repair these hoses by using less space. The first thing anyone would think of is somehow rolling or twisting the hoses. So if we were to roll the hose, an empty hose, around some cylinder, the first problem we encounter is that we can no longer use a metal rod, since it's not bendable. But if we use a metal wire, at the other end, we attach the other cables to the metal wire and try pulling, but nothing happens, since exactly this setup is sometimes used to create as much friction as possible. We've encountered many other problems, but thankfully we have solved them all with our prototype, and that's why I'd like to present to you Thorn. It has 75% space reduction. It is easily adjustable to any size or type of hose that Fronius uses right now, and it is made with standard elements, which means that it could be easily built all around the world. In addition, there are two variations to this basic setup, which make the usage of space even more efficient. The one with the telescopic hand and the one fixed on the wall. To put things into perspective, let's compare this prototype to the current setup.
The current setup needed 20 meters of valuable space, and Thorn only needs 5, which is 4 times less. And here's how we do it. We lay the outer hose around this wheel in a U shape and connect the ends to the setup. Then we use a winch and a pulling wire. This pulling wire we can insert into the outer hose by using a magnetic guide. When the pulling wire is in, we take the bundle of new components and connect it with a special connector piece. Then we simply let the winch do the pulling. But what about this friction? Without any help, it would be close to impossible to pull anything around this curve. And that's why we use a powder lubricant. We can insert it in one end of the outer hose and blow it through with an air gun. Using only 3 grams of this powder can reduce the friction by more than 70%. And thus we can continue pulling even around the corner until the hose is repaired. And this is what it looks like in our real physical working prototype at the most difficult point just around the corner. You can see Mate here finishing the process. But that's not all, because we also wanted to reduce the repair time, and for that we need to look in a completely different direction, namely the documentation. We fitted it with a system where a technician can take pictures with a stationary camera or simply with a mobile phone. Those pictures are then automatically sent to a computer where notes can be added, and a standardized documentation report for the customer rolls out completely automatically.
So there we have it, a final working prototype that has all of these characteristics. 75% space reduction, easily adjustable, made with standard elements and with easy documentation. We'd like to thank the Institute, the Fronius company, and our entire team for making this project possible. Let's repair.
Thank you, Team Thorn. Your space-saving technique sounds amazing. So today we already had shavers and torch hoses in our focus. But now let's move on to our next team. Now we've put the safety of people into our focus. Our next team dealt exactly with that, exactly with the hazard of workers in industrial environments and how digitalization can help to protect them.
Give up the stage for Martin and Filippi.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, I'm Filippi. We are today representing Team Origami. This is a baling line. In such a line, heavy machinery produces pulp by processes like cutting, pressing, and wrapping the pulp bales. In an industrial line, safety is of paramount importance, but current safety measures can bring some inconveniences. For example, we have metal fences. They hinder machine access, they restrict movement, and they require a lot of space. Alternatively, we have laser fences. With those, we have those light curtains that when breached, will stop a machine. The problem is you still need to mount pillars for the sensors, so they are not truly barrier-free. Additionally, they require larger area for safety corridor, and they can be accidentally triggered. So, the current safety solutions, they are safe, but not specifically smart. So, in our challenge with company Andritz, we asked ourselves, how could things be done differently? And mainly, how could modern technologies enable new safe solutions and human-machine interactions?
And after interviewing customers, managers, and workers, we came up with the following solution. We want to divide the shop floor into smart safety zones that are controlled by a sophisticated camera surveillance system and an object recognition system.
So we seem to have a technical issue with our microphone, but we have some...
Okay, we just switch mics and I will represent you our solution. So we want to divide the shop floor of such an industrial line by using safety zones that are controlled by a sophisticated camera surveillance system and an object recognition algorithm. During the product innovation project, we have developed our own object recognition tool, and we also built a testing platform to mount cameras and sensors.
But how does it keep the worker safe, Martin?
So when the worker enters a shop floor, he will be detected and counted by the AI system. It will also constantly track the coordinates and the speed and movement of the worker. Also, it compares its current view and information with the original person count, so we ensure we never lose someone. When the person gets too close to a dangerous machine, a specific machine action is triggered. Depending on the danger potential, the machine might stop or it only slows down. Now, when the worker leaves the shop floor into safety zones, this machine action will be resolved. Here you can see the user interface we created. And on the right-hand side, we have provided you a video to show you how the algorithm works. You can see the detections and the coordinates displayed on screen. When the two objects get too close to each other, a specific action is triggered. And we also create a notification that will be shown in the user interface to the operators. Now, our concept comes with some additional special features and benefits. At the heart of the solution is the AI-driven object recognition and safety system. With this technology, we can get rid of fences and thus creating ample access for operations while still maintaining the safety level. We can also trigger multiple actions for overlapping zones. And every action can be tailor-made to the machine and its specific dangers. Furthermore, we want to introduce intelligent temporary walkways. So when a worker needs to walk through safety zones to get to a specific machine, he can request access to this machine and a safe walking corridor will be created temporarily. There will be extensive real-time communication between the worker and the system. We generate a map to show the positions of the operators, and there will be acoustic and visual signals at the machines. Last but not least, we generate a lot of data and camera footage for additional automation tasks in the future. So now imagine you're a worker, just like Felipe, and you get a task at such a baling line.
So before, we needed to go through all the metal fences and light curtains to do our maintenance job. But now we can request the access of our intelligence walkway and do our maintenance task without any barrier. So we made the safety solution with improved usability and productivity. Choose making the safety solution also smart and therefore safety-proof, future-proof. We would like to thank Andritz for all their commitment and dedication to this project. And we are Team Origami.
Thank you very much, Team Origami, for your presentation. I'm feeling a lot safer already. So, I've got a question. Do some of you regularly use trains? Have you ever wondered how those big machines are maintained? Well, our next team has had to deal exactly with that. They tried to improve the process and increase efficiency by using digital technologies.
Please welcome, here live on stage in the Schumpeter Laboratory, Patrick, and live from New York City from the Pace University Chess, both from Team Trakhawk.
Welcome everybody. My name is Patrick and I'm standing here in the Design Lab in Graz. But I'm not doing this presentation alone today.
Hi, I'm Jess, live from New York City. We're representing Team Trakhawk, and today we'll be discussing our proposed train maintenance system for our partners at OBB Technical Services.
But first, let me walk you through the maintenance process through the eyes of a worker at OBB. Today in the morning, a train arrives for routine inspection and he begins his work of walking around the train and checking everything by hand. After several hours of working his way through the inspection checklist, he finds out that a safety critical component has to be replaced. He goes to check for that and finds out they're completely out of stock. They have to reorder the part, and until this part arrives, which can take several days or even weeks, the train is locked in the workshop for the time. And every additional day costs OBB valuable time and money. Also, this can cause one delay in one city. But OBB is operating all over Austria, and things like this can cause delays everywhere. So we're dealing here with a manual, expensive, and outdated train maintenance process right now. Which brings us to the challenge. How can we build a system to increase efficiency in train maintenance? We as a team developed an end-to-end computer vision system to take train maintenance into the age of digitalization. It is first built up of a video gate which captures images of a train passing through. Afterwards, all the images get uploaded to the cloud, where they run for some processing, and are finally sent to the web app, where they can be checked by the user who can complete the inspection there. But let Jess guide you through some of the details of that.
So we'll start by zooming in on the first stage of the system, the video gate. As you can see in this video, the train triggers a sensor which starts both the lighting and image capture. After the train passes through the gate, each image is uploaded to the cloud for further processing. Inside the cloud, each image, we apply computer vision algorithms to detect external errors on the train. The results from each of these algorithms is saved to a database and accessible at any point in time in the future. And I'll walk you through one such computer vision algorithm. We start with an uploaded image, and our goal is to detect an error on the pantograph. That's the connection point between the train and power line. But first, we need to identify where is the pantograph. So after localizing the pantograph, as shown by the red box, we're able to scan for errors in that specific area. On a real train, we would be detecting damages or wear and tear, such as on this image on the right side. In the final stage of our system, all of the collected data and error detection results are displayed to a worker inside of a web interface. The worker is able to interact with several key features in the system, which include the ability to zoom in on every image for a more detailed look and to validate the algorithm results. We also allow the worker to add comments, which can be saved to a database and accessible at any point in time in the future. This removes the need for pen and paper and allows the worker to complete the inspection faster. So you've just seen our end-to-end computer vision system. So how can OBB use the system and all of the data that it will collect? So we've started here in Graz. We installed our multi-purpose test rig in the train maintenance workshop. We started with 4 high-resolution cameras, but can incorporate many more into the system. And because of the modular architecture of this system design, we can start in Graz, but expand all over Austria, so OBB and its customers can experience the benefits at scale. And operating this interconnected system at scale will allow OBB to share the data in this interconnected system, which can power continuous condition monitoring and machine learning. But those are not all the advantages, so I'll hand it back to Patrick now to explore the many benefits of the system.
First of all, we have the automated documentation, which means all the collected data and saved images are saved directly on the server. Next, we can anticipate supply needs or breakdowns through continuous condition monitoring, which also helps to increase safety of vehicles, tracks, and humans. Then we can save a lot of time, space, and money in the workshops. And for the regular checks, we anticipate savings of 33% in maintenance time or labor cost. And finally, such a system gives a much higher train availability, which results in less delays, so that you and I as customers can get all of our future trains in time. Thanks to OBB for their great collaboration and the opportunity to work on this super exciting project.
And thank you, Team Trakhawk, for showing us your presentation. So your solution, I'm sure, will make the maintenance of trains easier in the future. Have you recently shopped in a grocery store? Have you ever wondered how the goods are getting there? Well, usually they are brought there by trucks. Our next team dealt with specific parts of this truck, where usually hydraulics aren't used nowadays.
Please welcome Magdalena and Danny from The Lifters.
So, welcome also from my side. This is Danny, I am Magdalena, and we are here today for our team, the Lifters. Let me start with a little story. This is Tom. He is a truck driver and delivers beer to supermarkets all over Austria. One of those supermarkets decides to electrify their supply chain. And soon they will not be the only one. There is not only trends towards electrification, where did I stop? The trends towards electrification. Also, we all know governments are more and more interested in sustainability issues. So just imagine one day the law might say you shouldn't use oil in your supply chain or you will have to pay fees.
Every supply chain starts with the tailgate. Here you can see an hydraulic tailgate. It comes with hydraulic oil, inefficiencies, and viscosity issues at low temperatures. Palfinger is a producer of these tailgates. They want to get rid of all the issues with hydraulic tailgates, so they challenged us to find a solution for them, with one condition: lift 2 tons.
And we soon found out it's not that easy. In our problem analysis, we realized why hydraulic is still king. It can lift heavy loads, having a relatively low system weight. Anyways, we came up with many ideas to solve this problem. Most promising turned out to be using spindles. More precise, the double column lift. Due to its 2 columns, it can open, lift the load, and tilt all the way to the ground.
But how is it mounted on the truck? Let's have a look. Here you can see the heavy parts, like the electric motor and the gearboxes, are mounted under the truck. The spindles are mounted here, and you can also see we lose some loading area because of it. But why is it not an issue? Why still use it, Magdalena?
Well, our calculations showed, more precisely, the tailgate weight. Here you see the weight of a hydraulic tailgate compared to the weight of a current electric system. This is an increase of 85%. What does it mean? We can transport 500 bottles of beer less using an electric tailgate from today. Not so with our system. As you can see, it is as lightweight as hydraulics.
Let's have a closer look to our solution. I proudly present you the Damacho 2000, our solution to your lifting problems. The Damacho 2000 doesn't use any hydraulic oil. It is driven by self-locking spindles and electrical motor. It is capable of lifting 2,000 kilograms of load at a time. With it, you can transport up to 500 bottles more than with current electrical solutions on the market.
Well, the Damacho 2000 sounds interesting to me. And looks like Tom got interested too. So let's wrap it up again for Tom. The Damacho 2000 doesn't use any hydraulic oil.
But what about the weight?
No problem, Tom. It is as lightweight as hydraulics. You can still transport the same amount of beer.
What about the controlling behavior?
The controlling behavior of electrified system is even smoother and better than with the current one.
And what about the low temperatures in the winter?
Not a problem at all, Tom. There is no hydraulic oil, so no viscosity issues.
And what about the maintenance?
There is even less maintenance than nowadays, because there are no oil changes and also no maintenance of the hydraulic hoses. Looks like Tom is happy now, and we hope so are you.
thank you to the lifters, and may the force be with you and your truck. Yeah, it feels like we are rushing through this Innovation Gala, because now I have the honor, together with Patrick, to present you our last student team of this evening. The next team dealt with the topic of material loss between cathodic and non-cathodic protected parts of pipeline connections. And they found a really great solution which is easy to apply and also have environmental benefits. So please welcome with me on stage, or with us on stage,
Männer, Paola, Team Leak.Age, stage is yours.
Do you want to have environmental advantages and save 1 million euros in 10 years? With small changes, we can have big impacts with our solution. I'm Mena.
And I am Paola from the student team Leak.Age, working in cooperation with OMV.
And we want to introduce you to our product and show you why it's a revolution for pipe protection systems.
It's okay, Mena, but for now, let's start at the beginning. In the oil and gas industry, there are material losses occurring in the pipe. These material losses are occurring exactly in this part of the pipe. Due to the preventive actions OMV has done, these losses only occur when a cathodic protected part meets a non-cathodic protected one. But okay, let's try to imagine together and see into such a pipe. This pipe is filled with salt water and some oil components. In our case, the charges, which are electrons and protons, are divided by an electric barrier. This electric barrier is the cathodic protection I was talking about. The electrons would like to go to the part with the positive charges, but they can't just pass over this barrier. Because our pipe is filled with salt water, we have also some sodium chloride, which acts as a charge carrier. So the electron can just jump on the charge carrier, and then they can be transported from one side to the other. On the other side, the electron can just jump off the charge carrier. But this step unfortunately goes hand in hand with our dissolution of iron, which means we get corrosion, and this is our material loss we want to avoid. So now we know our problem. What comes next?
So let's have a look at our product and see why our solution is going to solve all of these problems. We started with an idea generation with the different aspects we wanted to solve. We've done calculations, developed our system, done numerous tests with outstanding results to choose our best concept and solution for our problem, which I'm going to introduce to you right now. Our first idea was to give the charge carriers a different area to unload the electrons, which is in our case a zinc board. But because in our water there are a lot of charge carriers, after some time the more preferable zinc board is totally filled with electrons, and the charge carriers still travel to the iron part, where we have material losses we want to avoid. Here comes in place our next idea. We close the part where the charge carrier leave with a plastic inlay, so the electrons have a longer distance to travel to the zinc board, and it's not filled anymore. Therefore, our iron part is not used anymore, and we secured our pipeline from leakages. But if you know our team, you know this was not enough. We wanted to go a step further. Out of this concept, we developed 2 more use cases, one for oil pipes and gas pipelines. For gas pipes, we have the refillable zinc solution, where the zinc is, instead of the inside, on the outside.
Enough tech talk, Mena. Let's take a look on the benefits. We will have environmental advantages, we will have less maintenance, and also reduction of cost and time. Isn't that amazing?
Can you also imagine that we now can control our corrosion 5, 7, 10 years or even more? The combination of the plastic inlay and the flange with a zinc layer of a few millimeters can lead to a lifetime of some years, which we now can control.
To sum it up, we can really say our revolutionary solution is a key to a more efficient process to control corrosion,
which now can be automated with the refillable system
and takes less maintenance times and reduce the cost significantly.
So, we know you waited until now, and we don't want you to wait any more longer. We are proudly to announce
our final prototype and solution.
one of the most gratifying results of intellectual evolution
is the continued opening up of new and greater prospects.
Thank you very much for this perfect presentation of OMV. That was the last project presentation of today. We are very well in time. We're actually ahead of the time. And I want to use this opportunity to thank all the students. Unfortunately, because of COVID measures, they have to wait outside. I hope you guys can hear me. It was very inspiring for me, at least. I was surprised by some presentations. I didn't see the latest versions of the presentations. I think the creativity leading to ideas, what you guys developed and made a prototype and focused on presentation skills and even looked into animation, simulation, and presentation is very important for our industry partners, because our industry partners are looking forward to present these results to their board. And the management board usually have only a few minutes to decide to give a budget. So I think you made a perfect presentation also for our industry partners. To continue with the program, we have to wait for 2-3 more minutes until 5 o'clock to announce our guest speaker, which we should continue in 2-3 minutes. And I would like to fill this, and hopefully he is on time, because this guy is a very, very busy guy, but he promised to be on time at 5. So we will hear a guest speaker looking at reasons why companies fail, and these reasons very much suits to what student teams also experienced in their teams. Let me recap a little bit what is the goal of this product innovation from my side. When I started 10 years ago at the Institute of Innovation and Industrial Management, I was looking into all initiatives from my predecessor, and I found this product innovation project, which started 2006 and was an idea from Mario Fallast when he was at Aalto University. And I looked at that and thought, like, wow, this has really potential if we tweak it a little bit and get some a little different perspective and continue focusing on creativity and innovation. And what happened usually in these teams is at the beginning we have to find the right students. Marion and Patrick were working for weeks during the COVID times in order to find students who were sitting at home in their universities all over the world and in Graz at home and reaching out to motivate them to come and do this project during COVID time, where the university was basically shut down and nobody was allowed to come to the university. So at the beginning, we didn't have this team event where the bonding happened, and when we go to you usually go in a hut with some beer and people get to know each other, international teams get to know each other, and then this bonding helps to go over this I always say dark clouds in the skies which are coming along when you get a budget and one of the 6 team members or 5 team members say we want to go left, and the other one say I want to go right, and there are lots of discussions in the teams, and here where my staff comes in, our student assistant, which is sitting here in this room, Maximilian, and up to the head of the institute of the working group of innovation, Hans Schnöll, and everybody of my staff try to motivate the students to continue, because some of them want to give up and want just to stop because it's easier to get ECTS from a different place. So that's where we come in and bring them through the Tal der Tränen, we say in German, through difficult times, in order to get some little bit positive results that the team gets together and continues. And that's really difficult usually in December, January, February, when the prototyping starts usually. We offer our digital production machinery, which this year was in a situation where only one students or two students could be in the lab because of the distance and the COVID measures. Well, the last 2 months, the students were working extremely hard to get everything together because we had this meeting today. So there is a backward timing where you have to basically present and get feedback from the team in order to be able to talk today. Well, we are still waiting for our guest speaker. He is not online right now, so I would actually say let's take a 5 minutes break so everybody can grab a cup of coffee at home, and let's reunion at 5:07. Okay, 5:07 we continue. Thank you.
Kannst du mich hören? Ja, dann bin ich drinnen. Okay, super.
I now want to announce our keynote speaker of this evening. You will have the possibility to ask questions, by the way, to our speaker. We use the tool Feedbacker, so just follow the QR code on the screen, or go to fbr.io/inno and enter your questions so our speaker can answer your questions after his talk. I'm very happy that he has taken the time to be here this evening and give you some valuable insights from his experience. He's an Austrian entrepreneur, bestseller author, and well known for his famous book, Investment Punk. He studied applied mathematics and business economics at Harvard University in Cambridge, US, where I actually met him during lunch at Harvard in 1998. He started as an analyst at JP Morgan Investment Bank at the Wall Street in Manhattan, and afterwards joined McKinsey & Company in Frankfurt. But then he founded a company. He's the founder and the CEO of Danube Advisory in the year 2003, a corporate finance company for real estate transactions. He will now talk about the 4 reasons why companies fail. Please welcome Gerald Hörhan.
Okay, guys, can you all hear me? Write in the chat if you have some questions. Thank you very much for the invitation. And as an entrepreneur, investment banker, real estate investor, and with my many other activities, I have gotten quite a unique insight why many companies indeed fail and what makes companies who succeed. And I would like to start with an example, which is probably the most important failure of companies. I mean, I also invested in several venture capital investments with various startups, including things associated with Amadeus or Hermann Hauser, or also other Austrian VC companies. And I have also a few investments in Eastern Europe in VC companies. And often when I meet the portfolio companies, they have innovative technology, deep tech, and all this stuff they're very, very good at. But then I also ask them the question, who is going to sell this stuff? How big is your sales team? How is your online marketing? And all this, how is your customer support? And many companies don't like to sell, especially in Austria. And the problem is, if you don't know how to sell, you're going to go bust. That's the first and most important reasons why especially a lot of young companies, a lot of companies which are very technology savvy, in the end don't make it because simply they don't have a focus on sales. They cannot answer the question, who is going to buy my product and who is going to sell it to them. And in other cases, the problem is also that the sales process is enormously complicated. I'll give you a relevant example. I recently got a Mercedes and I wanted to configure the car on the homepage, and it was enormously complicated. My friends and myself took about 3 hours to figure out how this thing works. But the future is very different. The future of sales you can summarize in 3 points. Don't make me ask, don't make me wait, and don't make me sick. So that even the biggest monkey, the biggest idiot can buy. Just, I mean, already in digital terms, it's history, but I think 2014, when I started my own digital business, Investment Punk Academy, I was at Bits and Pretzels, and there was, among others, guys, the founder of Tinder. And when he made a speech, he said, what is the reason why our dating platform is so successful? Why are we dominating the market? And he said, in very simple terms, on most other dating platforms, people have to read and write and type. And many people don't want to read and write and type. Many people can't even read and write and type. But everybody can swipe. Left is no, right is yes. That is the reason why we're so successful, because it's so simple that everybody can use it. And that's one of the biggest, most important things, that you make the sales process easy and convenient. And every business, especially in the B2C and B2E sphere, so business to consumer and business to entrepreneur, has to have a focus on sales. And you have to make the sales process so easy that the biggest idiot can do it. As an example, if I book a rental car, why do you use Sixt? Because Sixt is easy. The app is not perfect, but it's fairly easy to use. And on other platforms, you have to type and do and so on. It's all the same. Even Sixt is more expensive. I don't care because it's just very easy and convenient. And the lack of focus, especially in Austria, but also to some extent in Germany, compared, for example, to the US, on selling something, that's the biggest reason why companies fail. The only problem is, a lot of companies which are very good in sales, a lot of sales guys have financial diarrhea. So what goes in, goes out, express. So they're good at selling, but they're very bad at finance. And here I give you another example, coming from 2008 or 2007. Company, very successful, very strong intellectual property. Every year, 30% revenue growth, profit growth, everything was perfect. And they were financed by local Volksbank and Raiffeisenbank in Germany. And, and in 2008, end of 2008, the founder called me and said, I have to declare insolvency. And I said, well, your company is doing so well. I said, yes, but I have a problem. My cash till is empty. I have no money. And I said, why? Because I said, well, it's very simple. We have to pay our suppliers, and we have to pay them often up front. And our customers, since the financial crisis, taking longer to pay, and we grow, so the working capital requirement is even bigger. And our bank, which supports us, has reached its limits. It's too small. And right now, no other bank wants to finance it. So lack of financial planning, wrong financing structures are often the reason why companies fail. We did find a solution, but the solution was painful. It's like an offer you cannot refuse from the Godfather video. A hedge fund type vulture investor took 49% of the company, gave the company a subordinated loan with 18% interest, convertible into shares of the company, personal guarantees from the founders, and so on. And lack of financial planning, wrong financing structures, lack of know-how in terms of financing with venture capitalists or business angels, and also a personal lifestyle which doesn't cost too much money is a second reason why most companies fail. And here are two more examples. Once I was at a party in Berlin, celebrated a big venture capital fund, 20 million. And then I asked the guys, what are the terms of your liquidation preference and your bad liver clause? And they said, liquidation what? And drank champagne out of the bottles. And then one guy, who already had sold the company, said, Gerald, you asked the right question, We sold the company for 55 million, and you know what each of the founders got? 1 million pre-tax. So that was not very fun. Everybody thought we were rich, but in reality, we're not. Because we had no idea how to deal with financing. And the third thing is, which I also often realize, the poem I always said is more in German, but for example, once there was a guy who was in a very profitable business, but then his lifestyle was more than his business could finance. He got a new Ferrari, a new villa, a new girlfriend, and everything else. And out of a sudden, he raped his company. And he took more money out, and there was nothing to invest. And he also worked less because he had to drive Ferrari and have fun. And then the company went bust because he raped it of the money. Basically, he took it out without consideration that his lifestyle was too expensive for what the business could provide. And financial mismanagement is the second reason why most companies fail. The third point is, which is something often underestimated, but here I can also give you an example. In one case where I was an advisor, it was quite a large company, not small. The son and the father were shareholders. The third party was also a shareholder. And the father and son started having a dispute because the father had a big ego, old-fashioned. My word is the law. I'm always right. I'm the best person in the world. I'm the star. But the son was better. They started disputing. In the end, the company nearly went bust because, it was a strong infighting, all the family infighting, and then, the other parties started getting involved. The family was a big, big mess. And it took a rescue And the only reason why the company didn't fail is because the father, his big ego, made some other financial bad bets, and he needed the money. And then his son and the other shareholder took out a huge bank loan, where they basically, pledged everything they had to pay the father out. And that's how they solved it, with the help of very expensive lawyers and very expensive tax advisors who charged about 250,000 euros for their services. And only that prevented the collapse of the company. And I've seen many, many cases where the shareholders don't agree, also in startups, and if the shareholders fight, there's infighting for power, for who does the work, and everything. That's usually the end of the company. And the only way to put this into order is that from the beginning, you have very, very good shareholder agreements, so-called Gesellschafterverträge, which regulates who does what, who gets what, for what he does, what happens if somebody doesn't fulfill his duties, what happens to the intellectual property, what happens if somebody wants to get out. And these things are often, when people start a company together, they go to the notary, he uses a standardized contract, nobody cares. Oh, well, let's go, everybody is happy. And 3 years afterwards, or 5 years afterwards, things change. One guy, has a new life partner and wants to live in the Caribbean. The other one, has made some money and is lazy. The third one wants to go full speed ahead. And out of a sudden, the different strategic goals. One wants to sell, the other one wants to expand. And people start fighting. And usually it ends up that they destroy the asset and they go bankrupt. I've seen, unfortunately, many of these cases. Some of them get resolved at very unfavorable terms. Some of them land in the bankruptcy courts and often in personal insolvency. And the fourth reason why people fail is also something which I call in Germany IPITA, or in English. And that's things which most startup founders don't like. Also most normal people don't like. Things which are obscure for most people. And it's something which I call IPITA, not TTIP, like the trading agreement. It's called IPITA. Why do I call it IPITA? I give an example. Once, there was a company in Germany, and all of a sudden they got a court order to take their website off. And the reason for this was quite simple. The IT agency they had hired had subcontractors. One of them was a student from Luleå, on the polar circle in Sweden, very cold. They liked to drink, and alcohol in Sweden is very expensive. And he had a friend who studied law, and he asked him, how can I get more money? And then he read the contract and saw that the intellectual property was not properly transferred. They said, you still have all the intellectual property. Tell them to pay you for this. And then that's what they did. And because the intellectual property, the IP, was not handled correctly. If not all the intellectual property is in the company. If the intellectual property of digital business is not handled correctly, if not safeguarded properly, if it's not managed properly, then it means usually the end of your business. It's not something lethal. It's not something optional. It is something lethal, and it's a mistake you can easily avoid. But you have to know what you're doing in terms of intellectual property law. If you work with IT companies, with freelancers, with online marketing agencies, with developers, with video team, everything you need in a modern digital business today. Because all of this is intellectual property. In my own digital business, Investment Park Academy, what is the value except, the cash it has on its hand, or as an accounts receivable? It's a brand name, which is a trademark. It's all the digital content, which is safeguarded via copyright laws, like videos, software code, scripts, texts, marketing sujets, and so on. All of this is intellectual property. And most companies who start a business handle this very, very stupidly. Some even, have something for a patent and then they talk it publicly or in a university setting, in public, and out of a sudden you cannot make a patent out of it because it's not anymore patentable because you made it public. Very stupid mistake, can kill you. The second thing is EPIT is IT structures. Even many large companies suffer from this. For example, if you rent a car, often, you wonder if you go to Mallorca or somewhere and see takes half an hour for them, to type these things in 5 times and give you a car key. It's very complicated. And if you look at the IT things, it's like computer history from the 90s, the innovators. IT systems are archaic, like with banks, with airlines, and also with many companies. IT systems, IT structures have to be up to date, modern, scalable, well documented, and so on. You need to have DSGVO, DSG data security compliance, and all this. Also, the data your business produces is one of your biggest assets. And the IT structures, many startups which I meet, I say, who is going to handle your IT? Well, we have an IT agency. I say, well, who in your founder team knows IT and online marketing? Well, we have an agency. And who manages the agency? Well, we have the cool guys, we have the ideas. If you don't know how to manage these guys, if you have no clue about this, please don't start a digital business. This won't work because these are key assets. And if you don't know it, you can either do it like myself. In some cases, I paid a lot of stupidity tax. Also, I'm, in terms of commercial acumen, I know what I'm doing. But still, that's something which most companies totally underestimate, large and small. And the third thing, which also most companies underestimate, is TA taxes. I'll say here, give you an example. Online business, started well, sold fitness courses and fitness products in 36 countries and 25 US states. And they really, some of them were pretty, 10 euros per month and so on. And they didn't really care much, they had no clue about taxes. And, out of a sudden, they got a letter from the IRS. And then the tax advisor opened a bottle of champagne because of his fees. And then once they accounted for value-added tax and all this stuff, they were almost dust because they couldn't pay it. They didn't think about all the tax consequences. Many people start their own business and the first few years, they don't pay much tax. But in the end, out of a sudden, when the business starts growing, you have a double or triple whammy because you have to pay tax for the preceding year of profits, for the current year, or for the future year. People have no clue about value-added tax and payment conditions and fees of various payment providers. People who do a startup often hold the shares personally. The startup founders, from what I told you in Berlin, they held their shares personally because they didn't know better, but then they paid stupidity tax of 30%. If they had had a holding company above their business, above their shares, they would have paid 1.5% tax. That's the difference. And taxes, IT, and IP are the fourth reason why most companies fail. And if you keep to these 4 rules and then do something which creates value, which you're motivated to do, there's a market which is commercially viable, which makes sense, and then you have the right drive and the right team behind it, then you can revolutionize the world, and that's what I advise you to do. The world is currently in a revolution in terms of digitalization, in terms of making the world greener, cleaner, hopefully better, and it's time to participate in this. That's what I would recommend you to do. But please don't forget that you have to have sales, money, and commercial acumen, that the shareholders are in agreement, and that you don't forget some of the basics. The basics still count, also in the green tech economy and the digital economy. Apart from this, if you know this, take part in the revolution, but take part on it with brain and with commercial acumen. Thank you very much, and I look forward to answering some questions. I hope I have had.
Thank you, Gerald. I think you can hear me. Can you hear me, Gerald?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much for your insights. You have to know that our students are mainly, well, let's put it that way. My institute is at the School of Mechanical Engineering, so we are at Engineering University. As you can imagine, our students have brilliant ideas. They numerous students want to start their business, but most of them are lacking in finance, and therefore I think it was a very inspiring talk of you, and I'm sure many students will look into that before they start a business, because they have a technology idea. So we have little time for Q&A, and I'm just wondering, Patrick, are there any questions at the WebEx?
Yeah, I saw already the questions. I can say the questions and answer them.
Okay, good, perfect.
Yeah. What is the best way to switch from student life to economic business success in life? My idea is to start as a student. Many of most successful businesses were started in the student dorm room. Like Citadel hedge fund was started as a student dorm room. Facebook was started in the student dorm room. Why? Wait, I have several friends and fans of mine who starts a business while at university. It has an advantage. At university, you still are used to living, Spartan, low costs, in a Wohngemeinschaft, with other students, eat pasta every day, which means you don't have huge overhead. They can take more risks. Do it early in life. Start. It's the time to do it. What's the first step to start a business? Idea for product is the right mindset. Well, the ideas for products, there are too many. It's more like the mind that is perhaps part of it, but all that's not the whole story. You have to have a team in place which can do what is needed to do in the business. So if you want to start an e-commerce business, which imports things from China and sells them in Germany on Amazon, you need to have somebody who has knowledge about Amazon FBA and Amazon marketing. You need to have somebody who is knowledgeable about online marketing. You need to be somebody who is knowledgeable about logistics and all the things associated with importing things from China. You need to have skills in place that somebody knows how to commercially run such a business, and then you can do it. Yeah. What is the moment in which you recognize that a company will fail? I mean, that's not. It depends. That's quite individual, but mostly, I mean, if the company doesn't get, if the founders fight, I usually realize it. If there are problems, if people ignore taxes or have problems with intellectual property, that's usually a reason that they fail. If their finances are not into order, that's usually the case too. And often I talk with the people and they see if they're inexperienced, they are naive. And that's, you need to see something, not a startup, it's not a lifestyle, but it's a business. And the business is there also to create money. By law, a business is there to create economic value or even profits. And it's not a hobby, then you should have a charitable organization which accepts donations. But if you want to have a business, then it has to be commercially viable. And please keep this in mind. Many people who are from the technical fields think selling is bad and evil, and money is bad and evil, but the law is, tax, oh my God. But then you don't run a business then you shouldn't do it. Then you need to go to university and start a research institute, but not a business. How to best overcome the working capital issue best? I mean, you need to have a sound cash flow plan, and then you need to provide the funding for it. It can be via bank, it can be via equity, it can be via the shareholders, it can be via subsidies, a combination of those, government grants, but you need to plan how you're going to finance it. For example, if you have an e-commerce business, maybe it's very capital intensive, and if you grow, you need more money. So the shareholders need to put more money in, you need to put in a business angel, or your profit margins are so high that you can finance it from retained earnings if you don't take them out, or you need to apply for some subsidies or from supplier loans. There are different ways to do it. That's what I also teach. Is selling a basic competence for everybody or just for specific experts? Sorry, it is a basic competence for everybody who wants to have a successful career. If you want to be a top manager, if you want to be on stage, if you want to be a top professor in academia, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a politician, if you want to be a leader of a religious organization, a leader in a charitable institution, you got to know how to sell yourself, how to motivate your audience to sell something. If you're like a preacher, you need in a church, a bishop, you need to make sure that you motivate people to donate in the church, because otherwise the church is going to go out of business. And today you also need to learn how to do it online because of Corona, the churches were closed. So yes, you do need to know how to sell. It is a basic competence. And selling today means offline selling and online selling. Online selling means Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, TikTok, Clubhouse, Twitch, LinkedIn, and so on. And your digital business card, which most people underestimate. If you have a notary, and you're seen in the casino on social media, It's not good for the digital business card. If you're a fitness trainer online and you're always shown smoking, drinking, or if you want to teach healthy living and then you're seen eating a McDonald's, a double, triple whooper, that destroys your image. You got to know what you're doing. My question would be, I want a loan from a bank for a business idea, but they only want to give me money if I have money Sicherheiten. That's correct. You don't get any money for an idea. Forget it. This you have to do with your own money. Once you are a little bit further ahead, you can apply for government grants or subsidized loans from AWS in Austria, for example, or from KfW in Germany. You can get money from business angels and at a later stage also from professional venture capital firms. But if you have only an idea and no money, that won't work. Nobody is going to give you money for an idea. And how to get capital is the same, goes in the same direction. I mean, the normal phase is that you develop a product, minimum viable product, and produce some sales on your own or with your partners, and finance this out of your own money. And then once it starts running, you can apply for government grants or subsidies and or take in a business angel, sometimes both. And to take the first step of expansion, that's usually when you want to get 2 million revenues, you might take in 50, 100,000. And then the next step would be to have a seed venture capital round, like 1, 2 million. That's the next step, which takes the business then hopefully to 1 to 10 million revenues. And then you have a Series A venture capital funding, which is more like 5, 10, 15, 20 million. Then it takes you to the next level.
Maybe one last question. Maybe one more last question.
I answer, there are 4 more, I answer, I'm quick, yeah? Products are getting more complex over decades. How to teach people to focus on simplicity. The complex thing is, I can only quote the Harvard professor. He said, it's very easy to teach easy things in an easy way. It's also very easy to teach complex things in a complex way. But it requires a lot of brain power and a lot of thought to teach complex things in a simple way. And that's what also makes sales process. A complex sales process made simple, like Google, like Tinder. That's the future. Is our society comfortable? Yes. Most people are too lazy. Yes. If you want to achieve something, forget work-life balance. If you start a business, you work 80, 90 hours. You have investment banking hours without the perks. And if you want work-life balance, please stay poor and or go to work for the government. But don't expect to be, really a leader in the government. How do you know once something is a failure? Experience and, facts. And what kind of personality should co-founders have to avoid conflict? Again, a very individual situation, but generally I think something works if there are a couple of things. There should be a common global goal, what you want. There should be complementary skills, so I wouldn't have 2 sales guys running a company because then they're going to sell lots of things and the company still is not going to have any money because it's going to have financial diarrhea. And on the other hand, I wouldn't have 2 accountants running a company because then it's not going to sell anything. And the little they sell, they get administered, but it's also not going to work. So we need a little bit different skill sets, common goals, and also there should be, I would suggest the following. For example, if you have one guy, who is very, a little bit, driving bike, vegan food, so these types of, what you would call hipster, modern, a little bit left-leaning. And then you have another guy, who's more, I drive a big Dodge Ram pickup truck, and I have a gun. My hobby is going, hunting. And I, very traditional. These 2 types might not match. There's something, there has to be some common ground.
Gerald, I think the audience is curious to know more about you. Thank you very much for your time and for your presentation and answering questions. That was Gerald Hörhan, founder and CEO of Danube Advisory.
Yes, and if you want to see anything more from me, come watch my YouTube videos, come to my live sessions, YouTube, Instagram. I do once weekly live sessions on Investment Punk YouTube Academy, YouTube, Investment Punk Instagram, www.investmentpunk.academy. You can always get the latest info, and you can also ask me questions there. And if you follow me on social media,
I think you easily be found, Gerald. We are sending out of the Schumpeter Laboratory where we met a few weeks ago. You are here now digitally. Thank you very much again for being here with us, and we will continue with the program. Thank you very much, Gerald.
All the best, guys, and participate in this revolution, but do it wisely, work hard, and be commercially smart. That's what I tell you. And change the world. Right now it's the time to do it.
Changing the world, that is a good end of this presentation. Changing the world, our students hopefully will change the world in the next 2 years. It was a great day of presenting, seeing the results of the students. And but in order to be able to show these results, there are quite some people necessary who coach and mentor behind. And I would like to name a few of them. And I guess we have also a slide for that. I would like to say thank you to Professor Christoph Somic, the head of the Institute of Material Science, for giving the team Fronius and OMV valuable insights into material science. I would like to say thank you to Gerald Hörhan, founder and managing director of J. Denkfabrik, for sharing his experience and knowledge with Palfinger, OMV and Paya. Bernd Gessner, Vice President Operations Pantronics, for supporting Andritz and Paya with insights in the electronics business. Andrea Huber, opera singer, for sharing and improving the vocal presentation skills of our staff. Anton Scheibelmasser, head of R&D of Insort, for using his industrial experience to give OBB and Andritz valuable hints. Peter Heidel, scientific assistant at the Institute of Electrical Measurement and Sensor Systems, a real BIP veteran, for sharing his ideas on mechanical problems with Paya, Fronius and Palfinger. And Stefan Hauswiesner, CEO of Reactive Reality, for supporting Andritz and OBB with his competence on computer vision. Also Lukas Kollmann, co-founder and managing partner of Studio Brighton, for helping OBB and OMV to enhance their storytelling on complex technical topics. I would like to say thank you to our university partners, especially Jacqueline Koppel from Pace University in New York City and Itztok Balcic from University of Maribor. And thanks to all company representatives who were part of our project. I would like to thank our management team, especially Hans Schnell, for his support, advice and knowledge he shares with the team every single year. Hugo Carre for his constructive feedback at the checkpoints, and Matthias Wolf for his advice. He always found the right words for our students. Our student team coaches, Maria Huller, Andreas Kohlweis, Elias Auberger, Atakan Kedenci, Oliver Moert Theo, Heimo Preising and Marion Unegg, for coaching the teams throughout the project, throughout the 7 years. Our Fab Lab team, Lukas Kreilinger, Manuel Lesser, Christoph Pirkelbauer, your guidance throughout the prototyping enabled the teams to build their ideas in our facilities. I would also like to thank Lukas Kreilinger and his colleague behind that we can host this with our digital technology. And you have to help me. Stefan Lipic, I'm sorry, Stefan Lipic, thank you very much for this professional help for today, to sending that like a studio, like a TV station, I would say. Thank you to Maximilian Seiko, our student assistant, who is a valuable asset and the first contact person for the students in our innovation projects. Of course, the administrative team, Teresa Huber, Daniela Neukamp, and Jasmina Sagrando, you managed all the financial matters and give our students the information they need in order to fulfill the requirements when they get €10,000 budget. Finally, I would like to say thank you to the overall project manager, Patrick Herstätter. Thank you for your commitment and your tremendous dedication, Patrick. Patrick has led the project throughout the last 3 years with over 20 project teams, and you remember I said 63 project teams. That's almost a third where you were responsible. He will now focus more on his PhD, And that's the word to say you can the application is open for the next year's product innovation starts basically today. And that's the moment to introduce our future project manager, Marion Unegg. And I would like to say thank you to Patrick and Marion. Please come on stage. And I will hand over now to our future project manager and past project manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ramsauer.
Thank you once again.
Thank you, Patrick, for your amazing job, for being one of the best colleagues in the world I ever had. And yeah, this PI story, this product innovation story, has now come to an end. But as we all know in life, every ending is a new beginning. And I would love to welcome you students out there next year, here next to us on the stage in the Schumpeter Laboratory for Innovation. So take the chance for co-working, for prototyping, for networking with us in the industry, and apply. The application is open now. And if you're already eager for, or it's burning under your fingers, before I mention the company partners for next year, I want to mention something which starts already in a shorter period of time, basically a few days from now. It's Spinnovation. So check it out together with the application for product innovation of next year at our homepage, iam.tugraz.at. And now I'm proud to announce the company partners for the next product innovation project 2021-2022. It's AVL, it's Hirtenberger, it's ÖBB Technical Services, it's OMV, it's Palfinger, and it's Paya again. So come and visit us on our website and apply now. So thank you for this year's gala, for the Innovation Gala. We are curious about your feedback. Please use the feedbacker to give us feedback. And of course, now the teams are in the focus once again. Use our Q&A side sessions now. Join them, ask the teams the questions you have, and interact with us. Thank you.
Maybe one last word from me. I would love to have a key that I can hand over physically, but I'm handing you over the product innovation as of now, and I'm really sure that you will do the best with it, and I have no doubts that next year the product innovation will rock again. Thank you very much.